this athletic journey will end, that you will hang up the cleats one day, and that who you are as a man is way more important than how good you are on the football field. How many touchdowns you scored or how fast your 40 was. Way more important is who you are as a man, because that'll last a lifetime. That'll affect who you are as a husband and who you are as a father and who you are for the rest of your life.
What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to the Dear Young Athlete podcast, where we talk to coaches and athletes about their journeys and what advice they would have for their younger selves. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson. I'm a speaker, author, and aspiring Paralympian. I've had the privilege and the opportunity to interview over 25 high-level leaders that share their stories and their insights on leadership and how to be successful. We have another great episode coming right up, so let's get into it. Today I have a very special guest. The man that we will hear from today, he is a husband, he is a father, he is a former collegiate football player, a collegiate football coach. Now he's coaching high school, and he's had a lot of awesome success there that he is going to tell us about. Above all that, he's a man of God. He has a heart for the Lord and a heart for people. And I'm sure what he shares today is going to be a huge blessing. So without further ado, Jordan Dornbush. Jordan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Man, one more day to be alive. Sun shining. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
For sure. We'll jump in. So you've been a collegiate football player, but where did it start for you? How did you fall in love with playing sports?
Yeah, well, sports has been a part of my life. I mean, ever since I was little. My parents got me involved at a young age playing baseball and football and basketball. And then my dearest loves in high school were track and football. So loved those. Had a great experience playing those in high school. And then, got an opportunity to play college football at Wheaton College in Illinois. So I went down there and had an awesome college football experience playing there. I know that for me, one of my themes of sports was learning to labor without immediate return. And that was huge in high school. When I tore my knee, I had a torn PCL, and luckily that didn't need surgery, but did put me out my junior, winter and spring season. So, but learned a lot through that with, like I said, laboring and physical therapy, and day after day of pushing and struggling through, just to make small steps, just to be able to walk again, and then just to be able to run a little bit again, and then finally be able to sprint again.
So let's break that down a little bit and talk about it. So backing up a little bit, you're playing football, basketball, baseball. You get into high school. How do you settle on football and track?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I think, part of it was my love for those sports and my enjoyment. And then there's another piece of just what I was good at, what I was talented in. And then also what coaches I interacted with. I remember loving my football coaches at Mounds View High School, loving Scotty Yelkinen and Jim Galvin, and loving my track coaches. And, those coaches meant a lot to what my experience was playing sports. And then obviously has kind of catapulted me into coaching as well. So,
yeah. So how'd you end up getting injured?
Yeah. I was playing broom ball, so it was very silly. I was playing broom ball, and obviously you're on ice and you don't have much traction, so I ended up having a bad fall and just weird, random. Coach Fleming, who's the head track coach at Mounds View, said, "Okay, well, no more broom ball." So yeah, it's probably a good idea. Obviously, he was disappointed. I was disappointed as well that I had to miss my junior track season.
Obviously, that's disappointing, but I will say a theme I hear on this podcast is people who have success in their athletic journey, they just love playing, love competing. Sometimes they're at practice, they're on a team, or else they're out playing broomball with friends. As much as getting injured is a bummer, it's a reality, it's a risk, whether you're playing football or playing broomball. And people that seem to go a long way, they don't always take it too seriously. You know, sometimes it's just out in the backyard. And that's where great athletes are born, really just playing, having fun for the love. So,
and honestly, the injury was a good thing for me. I mean, it was what I needed at the time. Not that I wanted that or knew that I needed it necessarily, but you know, I was coming off of a good junior football season, and I thought I was better and than I really was, and was, you know, had some pride issues, and all of a sudden not being able to walk, you know, not being able to run, that humbles you a little bit. And then that journey of that slow process of getting back and grinding through physical therapy, you know, and months of work where you don't feel like you're making the progress you want, and all, you know, you're not even running again. Okay, now I can jog, and that seems like a big thing, but man, a lot of work went into that. Just being able to be back to full strength. So it was what I needed. I learned a lot from it. Like I said, learned about myself, humbling myself, but also learned about, like I said earlier, the laboring without immediate return, where, man, I work and it's a good life thing to learn, because that's part of life. You don't always get the results you want immediately, but being able to endure through long seasons, and then seeing your return later on in life.
And that's ultimately what it's about, that process, you know, who you become in that process of you've learned a lesson there that's carried with you into your whole life. And sure, playing football was great and fun and rewarding, but you were talking about a process that goes beyond playing football. I happen to know you started as a running back junior year, which was somewhat rare at our high school. And I knew you to be somebody that worked super hard in the weight room. And I didn't even know the backstory about your injury and what it took, I'm sure, to come back from that. So tell us a little bit. I know it, but tell the people about those junior and senior year runs, because they were pretty special.
Yeah, a lot of fun getting to play in the state tournament. You know, obviously in Minnesota, only 8 teams per class make it. So, I mean, you're one of the best teams. We were in the largest division. So even just making it to state, all right, you're one of the best teams in the entire state of Minnesota football-wise. And so my junior year, it was our first time we'd make it to state and got a chance to win in our quarterfinal game. So now all of a sudden we're in the semifinals playing in the Metrodome, back when the Metrodome was around. And that was the first time in Mounds View history that they made it to the Metrodome. So it was a really big deal for the school. Kind of felt like this is part of history for this program, and getting to be a part of that was pretty sweet as a junior. Lost in the semifinals to Eden Prairie. So then the next year the thought was, man, it's our turn to go win it, go win it. Last year we made it there. And so our senior year had that mindset and had a kind of a storybook season, winning a lot of games by a lot of points, actually losing to Cretin-Durham Hall, who was one of our big rivals in the regular season, and then meeting them again in the playoffs. So the quarterfinal state playoff game, meeting up against them again and getting a chance to beat them, which felt really good when they're, a big rival and somebody who'd beat us earlier on. So then we're back in the semis, back on that stage where we wanted to be, and then lost in a really, really close game to Wayzata, which was heartbreaking for us who'd put in a lot of time and effort. But yeah, part of two historic teams for Mounds View, and feel blessed to be able to be part of those teams. It was a lot of fun to win some big games and play with some amazing teammates. So
yeah, and if I remember right, junior year, the game was won by a Hail Mary by our third string quarterback.
Oh yeah, the quarterfinal game, yeah, against Lakeville North. Yep. We thought game was over. Then they they thought game-winning field goal. So their fans are going nuts. Their sidelines are going nuts. Like, man, we just hit the game-winning field goal. There's like 40 seconds left. They kick off. I return the kickoff. Then they throw a bomb to Blake Anderson on the sideline. Then a bomb to Jimmy Duffy for the win. And all of a sudden, 40 seconds just like that.
And, third string QB. So that was insane.
Yeah.
And that speaks to, even though it's not your journey exactly, but being on a team where always being ready for your opportunity. You never know when the guy ahead of you will go down and your number is going to be called. Mm-hmm. It's easy in football practice to, if you're not starting, kind of goof off on the sideline, not pay attention, but you could be that guy that gets in, and you better know what to do at that point.
I think I learned from a few of those games we had in high school that, like, the game ain't over till it's over. And I've brought that with me. And especially as a coach, you see athletes you're coaching who, man, they start getting down, even one play or one score or one drive, and all of a sudden you see them start sinking their heads. And I know I learned from some of my high school experiences that, man, just got to play the next down. You never know. And so I'm obviously trying to challenge my athletes with that and trying to get them to realize, like, man, play one play at a time. And the next one might be you could change the whole game for you. So
that's right. That's good. So you're in high school, you have 2 good years of football. What does that college process look like for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to play college football. I was sending my film out to colleges. This was before Huddle. So you get a DVD and you're sending it out in the mail. But had opportunities where my biggest interest was by the time I'm a senior and looking at was Bethel University, Wheaton College, and then Concordia, St. Paul were kind of the 3 schools that kind of came down to, and I'd visited all of them, had spoken with coaches. And I felt like Concordia, I think football wise would have been a cool place to be, being at the Division II level. But when I visited, I felt like academically, I felt like spiritually, it wasn't a place where I would grow where I wanted to. And I didn't want to spend my 4 years of college fighting for my faith. I wanted to spend my 4 years of college growing and being poured into. So that way, when I graduate, I was ready for what God had for me after college. So then it came to Bethel and Wheaton. And Wheaton stood out to me a little bit more. It was a little farther from home. So for me, I had an opportunity to kind of be away from home a little bit. And then also I had a lot of friends from high school who were going to Bethel, and I felt like getting a chance to, meet new people and build new relationships and try something new was kind of what Wheaton was, instead of going to Bethel and, hanging out with a lot of the same people. So chose Wheaton, and I really blessed that I did. I had an amazing 4 years there. So.
And it's cool. I mean, you had an opportunity maybe to go play D2, but you based a college decision off more than just football. You based it off being a whole person, and man, so important, so huge, something people aren't always talking about. Mm-hmm. They're just saying, hey, what's the best opportunity? And you're saying, hey, I'm more than a football player, and I'm going to pick where I'm going based on that fact. Mm-hmm. So you show up at Wheaton, and what's it like? I mean, depth chart and your position. Take us through what that looks like. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying the episode, I want to ask you to go on whatever platform you're on and follow and subscribe. Give us a rating and review us, and help this podcast reach more people. You can head to the website 1020words.com/DYA. That's TEN20words.com/DYA to learn more about us, check out our merchandise, or figure out how you can have me come speak to your team or program, or potentially be a guest on the podcast. I look forward to connecting with you. Let's get back into the episode.
Yeah. So I was a running back in high school, was recruited as a running back. So I went there as a running back. Obviously when you get there, you're a freshman, and there's juniors and seniors there who are grown men, 22, 23 years old, some of them, and have been lifting and playing college football for 3 or 4 years. And so it's definitely an eye opener, because you go from being the best player on your team, or one of the best players, and maybe one of the better athletes at your high school, and then you get there and you're like, oh, all of these guys were the best athletes at their high schools, and then now they're all here. So as a freshman, working bottom of the depth chart, working as a scout team player, and then even for me, realizing I kind of have a similar experience with the theme of laboring without immediate return, where there was a guy or a running back who was my age. So he came in with me, but was just better than me. I mean, he's bigger and faster and stronger, and actually played a little bit as a freshman on their, for the college. I'm like, So he was a great player and an awesome dude, love him to death. But I just, I kind of realized, like, I'm not playing. That's just not I'm not playing over this guy. So, I spent my freshman year laboring at running back, and my sophomore year laboring at running back, and then kind of came to the realization, like, there are players ahead of me who are just better, and that's the reality. And especially at the running back position, you got one, where if I play DB, okay, there's 2 corners and 2 safeties. That's 4 starting opportunities as a DB versus 1 as a running back. So, had that conversation with my coach, my running back coach, and then the head coach, and made that switch to defensive back, which was a challenging switch for me. I mean, I played a little bit of linebacker in high school, but not a ton of defensive experience, not a ton of, I never backpedaled in my life. So I'm trying to figure this out. And I kind of had to tell my coach, like, yeah, I played in high school. So that way they're like, feel more comfortable with the switch. But really I was like, I just want to try and play. So hopefully I can figure this out quick. So, Spent a lot of hours with our defensive back coach that first winter when I had first switched, meeting with him every week and learning the defense and learning the backpedal, learning the basics, trying to get it all down. And so, yeah, labored. And then my junior year got a chance to play some, play a lot of special teams, play some at safety. And then because of some injuries, actually start towards the end of my junior year. And then senior year got to start and play a lot and have an awesome senior year.
And I think of, you being a freshman, being a sophomore, people don't know the commitment of playing a college sport, just the hours, practice, film, just meetings, and you're going through all that and not playing and then realizing you're maybe never gonna really see the field as a running back. That could be really discouraging. You could have complained, you could have quit, but you had enough self-awareness to realize, hey, this guy is better than me. That takes some humility, self-awareness, and then you took enough initiative to say, I'm going to try something else. And that could be scary. Like, you didn't know if you'd be good or you'd be bad or what, but you went for it.
I definitely, you said, not complaining. I definitely did complain some, and the self-awareness is easier looking back on it than it was in the moment. In the moment, it's hard. It's hard to, admit that, admit like that this guy's better and admit that, this isn't, what you thought it was. But looking back, it's easier to say that. In the moment, obviously, like, it is hard. I think, thinking about any high school or college athlete who is going through that, man, it's challenging when you're putting a lot of hours into meetings and weight room and just everything in practice, giving it your all, every rep, and thinking this is my way to earn it. That's how it was in high school. This is my way to earn my spot by giving it everything I got, every rep. And then you come away and you're still not playing, and it's a hard reality. So, it's easier talking back on it than it was in the moment. And that's, if you're a high school or college athlete listening, I feel you. It's a hard place to be.
So you're human though,
Yeah.
And it's hard, but a testament to the fact that you did do it, and you can look back and you can say, yeah, it was hard, but this is what I did, and it turned out the best. So you play junior year, senior year. Tell us just briefly, what kind of, did you guys make a run senior year?
Yep. So my freshman, sophomore, and junior football season at Wheaton was 8-2 and just missed the playoffs. Because you got to be 9-1 or 10-0 basically. It's hard to make the playoffs at 8-2. You kind of need a wild card bid, and they're hard to get. So our senior year, we're coming in and we wanted to make sure we make the playoffs. That's after 8-2, 3 in a row, and sitting on a Sunday night watching that show where they announced the teams that did make it and didn't, and not making it 3 years in a row. That was a goal. So our senior year season, we were actually 10-0, won the conference, beat our conference rival North Central in a really, really good Saturday night under the lights game that we won on a game-winning field goal, and got to charge the field, and so that was amazing season, being 10-0. A lot of big victories, close victories. I think people don't necessarily understand how hard it is to win a college football game. Even if it's a team that you're better than and you're supposed to beat. They got good players. They're college football players. So it's hard to win a college football game. You got to go out there and you got to, I mean, it's a challenge even against lesser competition. So, I think that was amazing that we were able to pull out 10-0, and then in the playoffs, won our first round. So now we're 11-0 against Benedictine. And then second round of the playoffs, we come up against John Carroll, who at the time was averaging 57 points a game. Yeah, they were the number one offense in the country. We knew it was going to be a tough game. They're in the conference with Mount Union, and that was their only loss all season to Mount Union, who's obviously one of the best teams in the country every year for Division III. So we come up against John Carroll, and the final score was 14-12. We lost.
Wow.
And we lost we had an opportunity for a last second field goal at the end of the game to win it that we missed. So that was heartbreaking, but proud as a defense and as a defensive player, proud to hold that offense to what we held it to, and gave our team an opportunity to win at the end, and obviously didn't. But it was a fun senior year, a lot of fun memories, and I think everybody does, but I remember after that John Carroll game, taking off my helmet, taking off my shoulder pads, knowing that this is the last time. I put them on since 5th grade. I've been putting on helmet and shoulder pads, and knowing that this is the last time I'm ever going to put on a helmet and shoulder pads. That was hard. It was really hard. And I sat in the locker room and cried for a long time. And but a testament to Wheaton College and to the team and to the atmosphere that they create there. I had teammates come around me and pray for me and speak life into me in that moment, right? Right in the locker room, right after our loss against John Carroll. Guys, like Buzz Aldrin, putting his hands on me and praying for me and for my future and what God has for me after football, and the importance of his plan for my life after football. And that was huge. That was a huge piece of my ability to be able to, all right, move on. All right, God, I'm ready for the next step in life. So,
yeah, man, football is different in that regard. I think of baseball, hockey, tennis, basketball. You can kind of keep playing, pick up, or you could find a team. And most people, when you hang up those football pads and that helmet, you'll never have that experience again. And that's hard. And you can say coaching and stay connected, but it's you see a lot of guys cry at the end of their football career, and that's man, it's real. So you graduate. How do you get in coaching? What does that look like?
Yeah, so when I graduated, I knew without a shadow of a doubt, man, God wants me to be in Chicago doing ministry in the inner city. That's what I was called to do. And so when I was, towards the end of my Wheaton experience, I was looking for opportunities. Okay, what are openings or job opportunities in the city that I could apply for? So Fellowship of Christian Athletes was one. They were looking to hire 4 staff. They had no really FCA presence in the city, and so they wanted to hire 4 staff to all move to the city and kind of start FCA, like start building that program up in the city context. And so I thought, I didn't know much about FCA, but sports and God put together and get a chance to do what I wanted to do with serving in the inner city context. So I signed on with 3 amazing dudes who also played Wheaton College football with me. So the 4 of us all played football together at Wheaton, and then all graduated together, and then all started on with FCA together. All moved to the west side of Chicago and started serving with FCA. And then part of that role in serving with FCA was, okay, I'm 22, white, from the suburbs, don't know any, have a lot of connections in the city. How do you get to know coaches and athletes, and how do you start to build trust, especially in this context where a lot of spaces I found myself, I was the only white person. There's a lot of, Hispanic or African American. And so for us, all four of us who came on staff and moved in, we all started coaching. We all got plugged into high schools and started coaching football as a means to get to know coaches, get to know athletes, start building those relationships, and start the ministry of FCA. So I started coaching at Al Raby High School on the west side of Chicago, Garfield Park. And I was there for 4 years and loved it, loved every second of it. Still have a lot of really, really close friends who I coached while I was there and who I coached with while I was there. So,
So, tell us if you can summarize a little bit of your coaching philosophy and what it means to you to be a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think football is the greatest sport in the world. I'm biased, but I do. And I think there's some unique things about football in general that I think make it that. And one of those is it's really hard. I mean, the physical aspect of it and the mental aspect of it, it's a hard sport. So I think that's a good thing. I think people can learn a lot through that. Also, there's so many pieces involved. You think of 11 on offense and 11 on defense and all the special teams. And there's so many different pieces needed to actually win a game or to actually be successful as a program. And so you learn quickly, like, man, you got to rely on each other. Where basketball, I got a stud, I pass it to him, he's going to make the shot. Football, it's like we got to rely on each other. We got to rely on each other. And I am dependent on you and you're dependent on me. And we have to do this thing together. Otherwise, we won't be successful. So I think football is a great teacher of life stuff. And I experienced that as a player, learned a lot about life. But also now as a coach, trying to help young athletes find those same life lessons and get out of the sport those same life lessons. And what I tell all of my guys is, even the best players in the country, you could be the best player in the state of Minnesota. One day you're going to hang up the cleats.
Yeah. Every
Every one of us does. So whether that's, at the end of high school, or if you could get a chance to play college, or even if you get a chance to be in the pros, which very, very few do. But even if you do, you're going to hang them up eventually.
Yeah.
You're going to be probably in your late teens, early 20s. Even if you do make the pros, the average NFL career is 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So, if you're 25 years old hanging up the cleats after your pro career, what's next? What's next in life? So what I challenge all of my players, man, what you're learning in the sport, what you're getting out of the sport, the relationships you're building in the sport is about life. It's about you as a husband, you as a father, you as a, citizen, you as an employee, as a boss. Think about those things, because the reality is you're going to hang up the cleats and then your journey with football will be over. But who you are as a father and as a husband, as a man, that lasts forever. That lasts a lifetime. So that's the challenge I bring to, I can't tell you how many times I've told it to a young athlete that over and over again. So
that's good. I love that you early on said your coaches impacted you. They guided you into kind of what your sports would be, and they made the journey special for you. Now you're a coach and you get to do that over and over. And that is something special. So I want to transition. I know that you work for a Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I actually know your dad and know that he's a pastor. But you and I both know your parents' faith only it's not your faith. Eventually you have to make the decision for yourself. So take us through a little bit your spiritual journey, kind of growing up, and then maybe some key moments along the way. Hey man, cool shirt. Oh, thank you, man. What is that logo? I've never seen it before. Yeah, it's actually based off 1 Timothy 4:8, which says physical training is good, but training in godliness is better, having value in this life and the next. The 8 is like an infinity because when you have a relationship with God, it lasts forever. Oh, you believe in Jesus or what? Yeah, bro, I play the game all for God's glory. You know, He changed my life and I want to do what I can to glorify Him. Is it a brand or whose logo is that? Yeah, it's actually the theme verse for a cool podcast I listen to called Dear Young Athlete. It's a sports leadership podcast. You should check it out. So where can I get one? Yeah, you just go to their website, 1020words.com/DYA. That's TEN20words.com/DYA. If you use the code DYA20 with all caps, you can get 20% off your first order. They have t-shirts, shorts, hoodies, crew necks, you name it. Anything you want. Yeah, man, I mean, I guess I would like to learn more. Oh, yeah, man, we got Bible study later with some of the guys. If you want to come check it out. All right, bro. See you later. All right, bro. Peace.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like you said, so my dad was a pastor growing up. So church every Sunday and, church every Wednesday night. And obviously faith was a big part of our household. And so I mean, for a while growing up, I knew the right answers and I knew what was, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do, but faith wasn't mine. Like you mentioned, it wasn't something that I was doing because I believed. I was doing it because it was what my family did. It was what I was supposed to do. And then I remember when I was 13 years old, I was at a conference. It was a youth conference in Washington, D.C. called DCLA. And so, there's youth from all over the country there. And they have big time speakers. And Francis Chan was speaking. And so when I remember Francis Chan was sharing the gospel, and it was interesting because I'd heard the gospel so many times. But for some reason, when he was sharing it, the simplicity, how he just explained it. He was walking through the Bible and the gospel message, and it felt so simple and so clear. It definitely hit me in a different way. And so after he gets off the stage and the worship band comes up and they're singing, and I'm kind of singing and praying and thinking about what he had shared, and I felt in that moment, there's not many moments of my life like this, but this was one where I felt like I heard God's voice and I heard him say, you get to choose, but if you choose me, you got to be all in. And for me, when I heard that, it was a challenge to what my life had been to that point. It was like, I do this because I'm supposed to. I do it because my family does it. I go to church. I'm a good kid or whatever that means. But it wasn't real to me. And it was so at that moment, I was like, all right, I'm all in. You're right. This can't be something that I just do because I'm supposed to. This has to, if it's either real and you really died for me, and then I have to be all in, or I choose that it's not real, and then I gotta walk away. I can't be in the middle. So, obviously I haven't been perfect since then. It's not like, I figured it all out when I was 13. But that was a huge moment in my faith, making that choice. All right, I'm all in. And, to the best of my ability, I'm going to try to follow you. And so, yeah, so then I know that, coming out of that, my knee injury was a big part of my faith journey. I know, yeah, it forced me to trust in God in a deeper way. For, up until that point, a lot of my trust was in myself. I can do it. I can figure it out. I'm strong enough. For sports stuff, I can do it. And for family stuff, I got a strong family. And for friend stuff, I got good friends. So I'm good. And then my junior year, there were a few different things that happened in a row. One of them was my dad getting diagnosed with cancer. One of them was my knee injury. Where all of a sudden I started realizing these things I thought I could trust in could be gone like that. Whether it's family or friends or my own abilities. So that was a huge challenge for me to grow in my trusting in God fully, trusting that He is my strength, my refuge, and not, I can kind of figure it out on my own. So that was huge, part of my journey. And then since then, in college, there was more growth. I was a ministry major, so a lot of my classes were focused on that. So a lot of amazing professors in college and growth in my faith in my college years. And then growth since then. There's no end. I think sometimes, people think faith is like this. It's this time. There's a graph. Here's time, and here's my faith, and I just go like this and get stronger and stronger and closer and closer. And that's not the reality. The reality is it's more like this. There's hopefully I'm kind of going this way, with my relationship but it's I'm getting there this way.
Yeah. And those hearing and not watching, he's doing a roller coaster with his hands. So
yeah, it's not a straight line graph. It's, there's a lot of, hopefully it's an upward trajectory, but it's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of challenges. Even just recently, this February, one of the students who I mentor and who have had a really great relationship with and had a chance to walk life with, do discipleship with, was shot and killed in February. And even since then, it's been challenging. I was even kind of talking to my wife about it a little bit, maybe even just a couple of weeks ago, about it's been hard to pray. It's been hard to pray since February for me. And I've prayed less, and those prayers have been harder to get out since losing Deshaun Hill. So it's a journey. It's not, there's no, the end goal is when you finally get to heaven, but until then.
Yeah. The only promise we have for this life is we will have trials. We will have tribulations, but God will never leave or forsake us. Doesn't mean it's easy. And the other thing you said that I talk about a lot is our foundation. Jesus spoke to, you could build on the rock, which is hearing his words and putting them into practice. Or you could build on the sand, which is when we trust ourselves, our abilities, other people. Not that you shouldn't trust other people, but when we build our life foundation on my family, my friends, my sports, my girlfriend, my money, my grades, those things ultimately are sand. It's sand that we are building on, and when the storm comes, the house on the sand crumbles, but the house on the rock holds. And something else I say and I think about a lot is the house on the rock survived the storm, but I bet it had some broken windows or some cracks in the siding. we're gonna have difficult times, and it's not about being perfect and not about denying those difficulties, but it's about knowing your foundation and having inner peace through it all, which is harder done, easier said than done.
Yeah.
I'll say. So
Yeah, for sure.
man, that's cool. And now you lead FCA, you coach, you mentor other guys into leading FCA. So man, it's encouraging to me to see you as a pastor's kid saying, eventually I made my own decision and now I'm walking it out. I hope someday my sons, though I'm a pastor, they'll say, yeah, eventually I had to choose. And it's a real inspiration.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, of course. We know there are many, and you touched on it, but when you play sports, there are many lessons that we can learn, that we can apply to our lives. If you could pick one lesson, a major lesson you learn playing sports that you've seen in your life, what would that be?
I have to pick one.
You can tell your players, and as you coach, you can do lots of lessons, but on the podcast today, give us one.
Gotcha. I think going back to something I've brought up a few times, but laboring without immediate return is it's just a life thing. Like whether it's, you just have to do things you don't like to do in life. And I tell that to my students today who are, I don't want to go to the weight room, I'm tired. Okay. Like what tools can we use to push through that? What tools can we use to do something we don't want to do? Because if we're only doing what we want to do, there's a lot of things we're not going to do that we should. And that's just a life thing, because the reality is, like, as a father, as a husband, there are things I should do or need to do that I don't want to do. And then, in your job and work life and relationship, it's just a huge part of life is doing the thing that is the right thing to do, that is the thing you need to do, but you don't want to. And being able to push through that. And I think high school sports is a way to practice that. You get good at what you practice. That's what Coach Johnson at Beth University always says. I love that. I think it's so true. If you practice and over and over are saying, oh, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to, you're going to get really good at it. And it's going to get really easy to do that. Or if you're pushing through that feeling of, I don't really want to do this, and do it anyways, and you do that over and over again, it's going to get easier. It's going to feel a lot easier to do it because you've built a habit of pushing through that, and you're giving yourself those tools for your future. So that, I think, is if I had to pick one.
Yeah, if I can piggyback, that's becoming less and less popular and more countercultural, because nowadays I have a smartphone and anything I want, I can get it. Any food I want, I could have it at my door. Just you name it, you can get whatever you want now more than ever. And it's becoming more and more important, I think, for us to say, like, no, there is wisdom and discipline, and not always just doing what I want, which Jesus taught that. So
yeah Pretty good one to piggyback off of right there.
Yeah. And then my other thought on that is it's why you have to have a purpose. Right now I'm training. My goal is to go to the Paralympics. That's a high, lofty goal. I don't know if I'll ever make it, but when I don't want to wake up at 6 and do my training, I think, but I do want to go to the Paralympics. You have to have that thing that's bigger than you, so that when you don't want to do what you should do, you do it anyways. In high school football, is your teammates. Is winning those games. I'm doing this for my team, for my school, my town. It's got to be bigger than you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as a coach too, it's the same thing. What's your purpose? Why do you show up every day? Because if it's just about winning and losing, or if it's just about the sport, you're going to run out of steam quick. Especially the context that I've coached in, with being on the west side of Chicago, being on North Minneapolis, coaching high school football. There are greater obstacles that you run into. And so, people will quit real fast or run out of steam real fast if you don't have a greater purpose that drives you. So I know especially within FCA, we challenge all the coaches we work with to have a transformational purpose statement, a statement about why do you coach that you can come back to when you need it. There are moments after a hard loss or after a hard week of practice that you need that, and you can come back to this and say, this is why I coach. This is why I'm showing up tomorrow and giving it my all again. So.
Yep. That's good. So as we close on the Dear Young Athlete podcast, we have our guests complete the statement. Dear young athlete, what do you want to say to your players and to a younger Jordan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, dear young athlete, understand that this athletic journey will end, that you will hang up the cleats one day, and that who you are as a man is way more important than how good you are on the football field, how many touchdowns you scored or how fast your 40 was. Way more important is who you are as a man, because that'll last a lifetime. That'll affect who you are as a husband and who you are as a father and who you are for the rest of your life. So put time, as much time as you're putting in training your physical body, train your heart, train your mind, and take time to become the man that you want to be.
Amen to that. And any ladies that hear this, same is true about becoming the woman that you want to be. I know you're a football coach.
Yeah, sorry.
So you get the guys, but if the ladies tune in too, same thing. That's a good word. Well, Jordan, thank you. Thank you for coming on here, for sharing. It's blessed me to hear your journey. Like I said, it inspires me. I look up to you in many ways.
Likewise, man.
Yeah, you're somebody I want to be like. And as I raise my sons, I think of you as a real example. So thank you.
Thank you.
This has been great. Any final words, final thoughts?
Well, I just want to say I appreciate you, and I read your book. I loved it. I was inspired as well. So just like it's mutual. You're inspiring me, and the life that you live and the way that you choose to live it, and how you care for people. And so it's encouraging to see your journey also.
Appreciate that. I know anyone who listens is going to be blessed. So Thank you. Thank you again. And there you have it. One more episode in the books. Thank you so much for listening. As a reminder, make sure you subscribe in whatever platform you're on, that you leave a comment and rate and review. And I want to personally thank you for doing that. And I will see you in the next episode. Peace.